I guess if you had told me a year ago that my life would be split open by a mop and bucket, I would have laughed you out of the room. But here I am now, sitting at this kitchen table, staring at a half-drunk cup of coffee going cold, wondering how I let it happen. How she let it happen. My wife, Claire. Claire and I had been married for 9 years. We met in college. She was studying graphic design, I was in engineering. Opposites attract, right? At first it was magic, the kind of love where just hearing her laugh made the whole room brighter. We were best friends. Partners. Life moved fast. We got married, bought a house in the suburbs, started building careers. Kids were next on the list, but after trying for a while with no luck, we both silently put that dream on the shelf and focused on what we had. That was the problem though, we stopped talking about what we wanted. We stopped talking about a lot of things. Work consumed me. I traveled more, chasing the next promotion, thinking that providing was the best way to show love. Meanwhile, Claire's freelance work slowed down, and she started filling the empty hours at home with home projects and social media scrolling. I didn't notice the cracks forming. Not at first. When she mentioned hiring a cleaning service to help around the house, I barely registered it. Sure, babe, whatever makes it easier, I'd said, skimming my emails. I didn't even ask who it was. The first time I met him, he was leaving just as I came home early from a cancelled meeting. Marco. That was his name, the man with a cart of supplies and a quiet smile. Mid-30s maybe. Tan skin, wiry build, dark eyes that didn't quite meet mine when we shook hands. Afternoon, sir, he said softly, gathering his things. Claire appeared behind me, cheeks a little flushed, brushing her hair back. Hey honey, Marco's just finishing up. I remember thinking she sounded cheerful. Brighter than usual. I chalked it up to having a cleaner house. But then the signs began piling up like dust in corners I hadn't thought to check. First, Marco's visits became more frequent, twice a week, then 3. Once, I overheard her telling him over the phone, "I'll be home, no worries." Odd choice of words for someone hired to clean. Then there were the changes in her. New clothes, more makeup, this soft glow about her that wasn't there before. She started going to bed later, sometimes with a faint smile lingering on her lips. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I checked our bank statements. The payments to the cleaning service were irregular, sometimes double, sometimes none at all. It wasn't adding up. So I did something I never imagined I'd do. I came home unannounced, mid-afternoon on a Thursday. I told my boss I was feeling sick, drove home with a knot in my stomach. When I pulled into the driveway, Marco's van was parked out front. I stepped inside as quietly as I could. The house was too quiet. No vacuum hum, no clinking of cleaning supplies. The living room was empty. I heard a sound, then a faint laugh, hers. Followed by a low male voice. The bedroom door was ajar. I walked down the hallway like a man moving underwater. My heart thudded in my ears. Through the narrow gap, I saw them. Claire, my Claire, sitting on the edge of our bed, Marco standing between her knees, his hands buried in her hair as she tilted her face up to him, eyes glazed with want. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. When she leaned in to kiss him, something inside me cracked wide open. I left before they saw me, somehow driving aimlessly for hours, shaking, cold all over. When I finally came home that night, she was in the kitchen, humming as if nothing had happened. Dinner on the stove. She smiled at me like she always did. Hey love. How was your day? I couldn't speak. Not yet. I was still caught in the web of shock, disbelief. But I knew one thing with painful clarity: our marriage, the life I thought we had, wasn't what I believed it to be anymore. And I wasn't sure it ever would be again. I didn't sleep that night. Claire lay next to me, her breathing slow and even, completely unaware that I had watched her betrayal unfold just hours earlier. The image of her tangled in Marco's arms looped endlessly in my mind, each replay cutting deeper. I didn't know what to do. Confront her? Demand answers? Pack a bag and leave? My heart wanted one thing, my head another. I'd built my life around this woman. I loved her. And now, I didn't even know who she was. Morning came. She kissed me on the cheek before heading off to her yoga class. The hypocrisy of it burned. Once the door closed behind her, I sat alone in the kitchen, my coffee cold again, trying to summon the courage to face reality. By noon, the decision was made. I had to know everything. I wasn't going to live with half-truths or lies. If she was going to blow up our marriage, I deserved the whole truth. I hired a private investigator that same day. His name was Miller, a grizzled man with sharp eyes who'd seen far too many relationships crumble. "She's been seeing him for at least 2 months," Miller reported a week later, sliding a folder across the table. Inside were photos, timestamps, text message logs. The evidence was irrefutable. The betrayal ran deeper than I'd imagined. They weren't meeting at our house only, there were hotel rooms, too. Intimate dinners. Weekends when I thought she was visiting friends. One picture stood out, Claire laughing across a small table, Marco's hand covering hers. It wasn't just sex. She felt something for him. That gutted me more than any physical betrayal could. I stared at that photo for a long time, the ache in my chest dulling into numbness. That night, when Claire came home, I waited in the living room. "We need to talk," I said, voice steady but cold. She froze, her gym bag slipping from her shoulder. "Okay, what's going on?" I didn't bother with subtlety. I laid the photos on the table. Her face drained of color. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "You followed me," she finally whispered. "No. You invited me to see it when you started lying, sneaking around, treating me like a fool in my own home." Tears welled up. "It wasn't supposed to happen, Don't," I cut her off. "Don't insult me with excuses." She crumpled into a chair, sobbing. Between ragged breaths, she admitted it. "At first it was harmless," she said. "Marco was easy to talk to. You were always gone, always tired. He made me feel seen again." My stomach churned. "So instead of talking to me, you chose him? You chose this?" She nodded helplessly, unable to meet my eyes. "I never wanted to hurt you." But she had. Irrevocably. I told her I was moving out. I needed space to think. I packed a bag that night, numb but determined. "Please," she cried. "Don't go. Let's fix this." But there was no fixing what had been shattered. Not now. Maybe not ever. The weeks that followed were a blur of pain and paperwork. Claire begged me to forgive her, swore she'd cut Marco off. But trust, once broken, isn't easily repaired. I filed for separation. My lawyer told me Claire had tried to contact Marco afterward, a desperate attempt to fill the void she'd created. I didn't care anymore. I poured myself into rebuilding. Therapy, long runs, reconnecting with old friends. Slowly, painfully, I began to rediscover who I was, beneath the wreckage of our marriage. Months passed. One crisp autumn morning, Claire reached out again. "I'm sorry," she wrote. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know. I was wrong. You deserved better." She was right. I did. And though part of me would always mourn what we lost, I knew now that love without respect, without loyalty, is a hollow shell. Somewhere deep inside, I had started to forgive, not for her sake, but for my own. Because life goes on. Even when the floors have been wiped clean.